From crashing into his teammate in almost every race to throwing his cap on the new world champion, some Formula One teammates never really got along with their teammates. Like, just look at the newbies, Nikita Mazepin and Mick Schumacher. During the 2021 season, Haas has had a pretty spicy intra-team rivalry brewing at the back of the grid. And well, what else could you expect from teammates that literally only raced among themselves? But some would argue that these guys took it a little too far. Like, they openly showed hostility towards each other. And when the car suited Schumacher more, oh boy, did Mazepin get mad. He pinned the entire blame on Mick and Haas for turning on him. I mean, if your car always slid and crashed off and your teammate was still racing, you too would start questioning the car, if not the driver. And before their era together even ended, Mazepin told everyone that he was not getting the right vibe from Schumacher. Like, okay, awkward. So Haas did what they thought was best. They removed Mazepin. And that was the end of that rivalry. But for some, it may have just started. Like, remember when Max Verstappen wouldn't let Sergio Perez pass him? So if you were there when this radio call was posted, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, what happened was, it was the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Verstappen was already super high up on the leaderboard. So one position down in the race wouldn't have cost him his title, alright? But of course, it's not always about racing for the Dutchman. So when the driver was called on the radio to let his teammate Perez pass him in the race, he declined. And that honestly doesn't even make much sense, cause in a way, Max had already won the championship and Checo was fighting for the runners-up place, so he desperately needed Max to step aside. So when Max rejected that team command, it was a knife to Checo's back. Imagine spending most of your career assisting the #1 driver, and the one time you ask him to help you back, they cost you your win. Obviously, Checo was disappointed.
Testimony to the long hours and the hard work that's gone in behind the scenes in the factory and on the campus in Milton Keynes that we're here today.
It looks really cool, and you can straight away see the amount of work our people back in the factory have done.
Of course, it's great to be with Checo, in the team. He's a good guy, he's a quick guy, and we really push each other.
It's always exciting to see the new car and its first pull out of the garage and what lies ahead for that car over the next 23 races. Always an exciting moment for the team.
But it seems like Verstappen was unaffected after this whole duel. He simply said that Checo is the #2 driver. His only job is to assist. And that's a huge price to pay, considering that the overtake was commanded so that he could win from Charles Leclerc, not Max. Like, geez, your vision's a bit foggy, man. Speaking of which, some rivalries got so intense that getting the World Championship wasn't a target anymore. That's right, Nico Rosberg made it his life's mission to beat his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Now these two were that one problematic couple on the grid that just couldn't let anyone win. So Hamilton and Rosberg started off on the right foot, actually, but with time, their relationship deteriorated immensely because of the World Championship.
Because of the battle that we've had and everything, and first of all, I just wrote a message before the actual announcement, and then afterwards we got together and had a chat about it, and just went through a few stuff, and it was a nice conversation. And I'm open to finding our way, and even having a good relationship again in the future. Why not?
And every driver wants to win the championship, right? So think about it. Which one of these two would be willing to give that up for the other? None of them. Like, after Hamilton won the championship in 2015, with 3 races to spare, Rosberg couldn't handle the pain. He lost in equal machinery? Unbelievable. So he threw his cap aggressively at Hamilton in the cool-down room before the podium ceremony, cause he was fuming. He wasn't just mad that Hamilton won, but he forced him wide at the start of the race, which made him lose his chance. And if you thought that's where it probably ended, oh boy, Rosberg made it his life's mission to get back at the Briton. So by 2016, everything was on the line. Each driver was out there for himself. Like, they could have easily been mistaken as rivals for the crashes and race battles they had during the year. And once Rosberg took the title in 2016, he felt like his mission was accomplished. So he retired. Like, geez, all of that just to prove that he can beat Hamilton? Well, despite the crashes, one of them got the victory, at least, because the next duo on our list couldn't even get a race win. Like Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez turned F1 into bumper cars. While this pairing wasn't as dramatic in cooldown rooms as others, they were just as dramatic on the racetrack. I don't know if their cars had magnets in them or what, because several collisions just came out of nowhere. Like they weren't even competing for race victories. They just wanted points. And you can't get any points if you constantly ram into each other. Take Spa for instance. These two were going so well, and then the drivers banged wheels while driving at full speed towards the Eau Rouge. Now, if I was the team boss, I would ban them from being teammates, because if there was one thing they collectively worked together on, it was obviously to destroy the cars. So such a loss of points and bucks for the team made Force India lose all trust in them, and obviously a driver wouldn't accept that he caused the collision, so the blame game was on, and Ocon and Perez couldn't be trusted to be near each other anymore. Well, that's something that the racetrack has seen before, because the thing is, Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo also had a bumpy ride as teammates. Well, this feud was probably the juiciest of its kind. These two Red Bull drivers sometimes forgot that they're teammates and not rivals. Because recall this, it was race day in Baku, and Ricciardo finally made his way to compete for the 4th position on lap 35. He had already passed Verstappen twice, but this time he had a poor outlap from the pits, so he lost his position. And as a teammate, you're supposed to follow team orders and help out, right? But again, Verstappen didn't listen. So as they were racing on the start-finish straight, Verstappen was right in front of the Australian. And when I say right in front of him, I mean the Aussie was literally on his rear. Verstappen wouldn't give him space to overtake him, and the Aussie rammed the rear of that Red Bull. And safe to say, none of them got the position they were racing for. And what happened afterward, you might ask? Well, you could probably see the fumes blowing out of the entire Red Bull team. Like, you spend so many days practicing, making the best car, and your teammates can't distinguish themselves from rivals? That's not just a world championship gone, it's also $1 million down the drain. And if that wasn't a tug-of-war you were expecting, then this one will surprise you even more. It's Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna. Yeah, these two masterminds never liked each other. Why? Oh, because Prost was McLaren's favorite son, until Senna took his spot. Yeah, and things started to get even worse when Prost's car wasn't suiting him as much. Like, it's obviously gonna make him question why Senna's winning races from the back of the grid. And oh boy, that wasn't the end of their bitter times, because in 1989, it was the race that decided the champion. Things were already pretty tense between them, and to win, one of them had to take the fall, or had to be pushed off the track. Yeah, so Senna crashed into Prost, and when Prost had to retire because of that, Senna just reversed back into the game and raced for that title. But oh well, that just ended in Prost winning the championship because Senna got disqualified. So their rivalry might be the bitterest of them all. And that's all from me on the biggest team feuds of F1.